Somewhere over Liaoning province, a second stealth fighter is flying, and China refuses to admit it exists. You've probably heard of the J-36, the massive three-engine jet that shocked defense analysts. But there's another aircraft, smaller, stranger, built by a completely different design bureau, racing toward the same impossible goal. No press conference introduced it, no state broadcaster named it, just a handful of leaked photos, a grainy flight clip, and a designation invented by outsiders because Beijing never gave it one. They call it the J-50. Nobody outside China's military knows what it's really called, what it's really for, or why two rival bureaus are building two sixth-generation fighters at the same time. Today we separate confirmed fact from speculation, and by the end, you'll understand exactly what's at stake across the Pacific. December 26, 2024. A cold winter morning near Shenyang Aircraft Corporation's facilities in Liaoning province. Somebody with a camera and a lot of patience catches something in the sky that should not be there. A tailless jet, no vertical stabilizers. A shape that looks like nothing else in China's known fleet. It banks low, trailed by a J-16 strike fighter acting as an unofficial chase plane, and disappears again just as fast as it came. No announcement, no press release. Just a photo, uploaded, and the internet doing what the internet does best. Here's where it gets stranger. That exact same day, hundreds of miles away, a completely different mystery aircraft goes public. The Chengdu J-36. Bigger. 3 engines. A totally separate design philosophy from a totally separate manufacturer. 2 brand new stealth prototypes from 2 rival state-owned bureaus, surfacing on the exact same date. That's not a coincidence anyone can explain. That's a pattern. Unconfirmed reports suggest the smaller jet, the one from Shenyang, actually took its maiden flight even earlier, around December 20th. Which means by the time the public caught its first glimpse, this aircraft may have already been airborne for days, quietly building flight hours in secret before anyone outside the program even knew it existed. Think about how casual this discovery was. No radar tracking data released. No confirmation from any ministry. Just a civilian, a camera, and dumb luck. That's how the world learns about some of China's most advanced military technology now. Not through disclosure, through accidents. And it raises the question that's going to drive everything that follows. Why does China have 2 competing 6th-generation fighters, built by 2 separate bureaus, flying in the same window of time? In most countries, that kind of parallel investment doesn't happen. It's too expensive, too redundant. But Beijing is doing it anyway. And that decision alone tells you something about how seriously this program is being taken behind closed doors. To understand why this matters, you have to understand who is actually building these jets. Chengdu Aircraft Corporation and Shenyang Aircraft Corporation are not just 2 factories. They are rivals, institutional competitors with completely different design philosophies, different engineering cultures, and a long history of racing each other for military contracts. And right now, both of them are building 6th-generation stealth fighters at the same time. The J-36, Chengdu's aircraft, is the bigger of the 2, 3 engines. A massive airframe that looks built for range and payload, the kind of jet you would design for deep strike missions and long-duration power projection, punching through contested airspace far from home. The J-50 is something else entirely. Smaller, twin engine instead of 3, a leaner profile that hints at a completely different mission set. Analysts have floated everything from air superiority to something even more interesting, a carrier-based role. a jet built to operate off the deck of a Chinese aircraft carrier rather than from a mainland airbase. Now stop and think about how unusual this actually is. Funding one sixth-generation fighter program is an enormous gamble, even for a superpower. The research, the materials, the testing infrastructure, the years of failed iterations before anything works. Funding two from two separate bureaus at the same time is almost unheard of. The United States isn't doing this. No other country is doing this, which suggests something happening deep inside China's defense establishment that outsiders rarely get to see. A closed-door competition. A bake-off between two rival design houses, each one racing to prove their aircraft deserves to be the one that actually enters production. Only one of these jets is likely to become the PLA's next-generation fighter. The other may end up shelved, a technology demonstrator that quietly disappears from the historical record. Right now, from the outside, there's no way to know which one wins. All we can do is watch the evidence pile up, one leaked photo at a time, and try to read the signals before Beijing ever decides to confirm anything. Piece by piece, photo by photo, the world has slowly built a picture of this aircraft. Not because China revealed it, because it couldn't stay completely hidden. January 2025. New images surface showing something nobody expected. Swiveling wingtips, moving independently, acting as control surfaces where a tail would normally sit. On most aircraft, losing the tail means losing stability. Here, those wingtips seem to be doing the job instead, tilting and adjusting to keep an inherently unstable airframe under control. By April and May, the pictures get sharper. Diverterless supersonic inlets on either side of the fuselage, smooth and bumpless, engineered to manage airflow without the extra hardware that shows up on radar. A chin-mounted electro-optical targeting system tucked beneath the nose. A single-seat cockpit wrapped in a blended bubble canopy that flows into the fuselage instead of sitting on top of it. And then there's the shape itself. No vertical stabilizers anywhere. Analysts call it a lambda wing, a tailless configuration that slashes the aircraft's radar cross-section dramatically. The trade-off is brutal, though. Without a tail, the jet becomes naturally unstable in flight, which means the entire aircraft depends on flight computers making thousands of tiny corrections per second just to stay level. At the rear, twin engine bays with serrated, two-dimensional thrust vectoring nozzles, a detail that echoes the F-22, but applied to a completely different airframe philosophy. Here's what matters most about all of this. Every single detail came from citizen photographers, Weibo posts, blurry zoom-ins, enthusiasts standing outside a military facility with a long lens, hoping to catch something. Not one of these confirmations came from Beijing. Not a specification sheet, not a press briefing, not even an official photo. China's government has said nothing. The most advanced aircraft in its arsenal is being documented entirely by accident, by people the state never intended to be watching. September 25, 2025. The clearest images of this aircraft yet hit Chinese social media, and this time, something's missing. The nose-mounted air data boom that appeared in earlier test flights is simply gone. To analysts watching closely, that's not a minor detail. It suggests a second, more refined prototype now exists, one further along in testing, shedding the temporary instruments early flights need. Just 3 weeks earlier, something much bigger happened. September 3rd, 2025. Beijing staged a massive military parade through Tiananmen Square, marking 80 years since the end of World War II. Over 12,000 troops. New intercontinental ballistic missiles rolling past the crowd, air defense lasers, undersea drones the size of small submarines. State media even referenced China's sixth-generation fighter development that day, folding it into the broader message of military strength. But the aircraft itself never appeared. No flyover, no model on display, no official unveiling alongside everything else Beijing chose to show the world. Sit with that contrast for a second. This is a government willing to parade its newest nuclear missiles down a public street, in front of foreign leaders and state cameras, for the entire world to analyze. And yet the one aircraft still shrouded in total mystery stays hidden. Even on a day built entirely around projecting strength, that's not an accident. That's not simple secrecy either, the kind where something stays buried and unseen. This is something more calculated. A government that lets just enough leak out timed test flights, imagery that conveniently surfaces every few months, while withholding the one thing that would make it official. Full confirmation never comes. It's a strategy of controlled visibility, dropping breadcrumbs, letting analysts and adversaries piece together fragments, all without ever admitting the aircraft exists. And that kind of restraint, in a country that just showcased its entire arsenal, tells you exactly how valuable Beijing thinks this program really is. November 2025. Open source analysts poring over satellite imagery find something that changes the entire picture. Both the J-36 and the smaller J-50 sitting on the same remote airfield, hundreds of miles from anywhere, near a place called Lop Nur. If that name sounds familiar, it should. Lop Nur has a history. It's where China tested its nuclear weapons decades ago, buried deep in the Xinjiang desert, chosen precisely because nothing and no one is nearby to watch. Analysts have compared the site directly to America's Area 51, a place built for exactly one purpose: testing things the government doesn't want seen. And there, sometime between August and September 2025, both rival prototypes show up on the same satellite pass. Not one program quietly abandoned while the other advances. Both aircraft, from both competing bureaus, being actively tested in parallel at the most secretive facility China has. That single detail rewrites the earlier theory. This isn't a slow fade, where one design wins and the other disappears. Beijing is still funding both, still flying both, still keeping both alive, at a base built for programs too sensitive for anywhere else. And even now, with satellite confirmation, with a year of leaked photos, with test flights documented from a dozen different angles, nothing has changed on the official record. No ministry has confirmed the aircraft's name. No state broadcaster has aired footage. No defense white paper lists its specifications, its engine, or which branch of the military it belongs to. That engine question alone remains wide open. Some analysts believe the J-50 may eventually use the WS-15, an engine China has been developing for years, but hasn't fully perfected. Whether this particular prototype already carries it, or whether it's still flying on something weaker while the real engine catches up, is anyone's guess. 2 secret jets, 1 desert airfield, and a government that would rather let satellites do the talking than say a single word itself. Everything you just saw came from leaks, not disclosure. That's the real story here. Not the wingtips, not the engines, but the silence surrounding all of it. Is the J-50 a technology demonstrator destined for the scrap heap, or the PLA Navy's next carrier-based fighter? Nobody outside a handful of officials in Beijing actually knows. But if that carrier role ever gets confirmed, it changes the math across the entire Pacific, extending credible 6th-generation air power off the mainland and onto the open water. Somewhere in Liaoning right now, a jet is still flying that officially doesn't exist.